You're listening to theoutdoorstation.co.uk. It's a podcast. It's a magazine. No, it's a podzine.
Hi there and welcome back to another Podzine, dated the 31st of March 2008. Hi there and welcome again back to another Podzine, the outdoor audio magazine show for outdoors people everywhere. And by everywhere, I do mean everywhere, all over the world. And current figures from our analysis software clever thingy that plugs into the website tells us that we're getting well over 1,000 downloads a day. So if this is one of them, then I hope it helps your day go by more pleasantly. And of course, we've now crashed through that barrier of 500,000 listeners around the world, which is fantastic news. And thank you very much indeed if you're one of those, which you must be, because otherwise you wouldn't be listening. So do get in touch and let us know where you're listening and what interests you might have and so on. And if you don't drop us an email to the normal address, which is info@theoutdoorstation.co.uk, then do visit our website and stick a pin in my new map. Yes, I've invested in a Frapper map. Well, they're actually free, but it looks very good. And so if you go to the listeners page and have a look there, you will see a map, and you can sort of guide around the map with a mouse, and then you can double click where you are and move the pin to your particular location, add a picture or a comment or a name or whatever, but it'd be nice to hear or see where all the listeners are, and that'd just be a bit of fun, really. And so for those of you that don't know the website address, here it is once again.
theoutdoorstation.co.uk.
Thank you, girls. And I look forward to seeing the pins grow over time. Well, by the time you hear this, I will have just got back from a weekend bushcrafting in the hands, the professional hands of Nomad Bushcraft. And you can check them out at nomad-bushcraft.com, and they're based in Bristol. So I'm looking forward to bringing you the stories and describing what went on during my Foundation Bushcraft weekend, and sharing the passion and interests, and also some of the comments from some of the other people on the same course as well. Well, that combined with the better weather this last week in the Midlands area here in the centre of England, we took a guest out, an American guest, up to up Pen y Fan, and had a good day out there, and the weather was suitably wonderful. It was very surprising considering they were forecasting heavy rain all day long, but we had a good day out. And so I thought I'd make this show concentrate on exploring just how many people are starting to widen their interests, in particular looking at bushcraft and a lot of the more basic skills which fascinate all of us, I know, but we feel somehow we've lost. So, on this show, as well as our usual diary roundup and exciting competition news, we talk to Wayne Jones from the very well-known Forest Knights about the very basic skills our forefathers knew so well and we seem to have lost. And we also speak to Ed Bassett about the diverse range of holidays people who are interested in these diverse skills are now taking with him, which is quite interesting. But first of all, let's start at the heart of bushcrafting, shall we? So we start with Simon Ellar, who is the editor of Bushcraft and Survival Magazine, and we caught up with him at the outdoor show where they had a fabulous stand which was creating a lot of interest with all ages. And had a word with him about how the general interest in bushcraft is growing and gathering momentum in the national press, and also if he's noted an increase in participation from those who enjoy other outdoor pursuits.
Bushcraft was kind of it was in obscurity, really. There was people interested in survival skills and things. What we found now is that there's a big push on people from a whole range of areas, such as country walking, four-wheel driving, kayaking. We get people from schools taking the magazine for activities and ways of linking it into the curriculum. We get scout groups. There's a whole... Our subscription base, the oldest subscriber we have is an old lady of 84, and she takes it because she just likes to read about the subject, and then that ranges right down to a young lad of 4 who subscribes, and his dad goes out and does some bits with him.
That's really good to have that sort of diversity.
It's brilliant, and the family, a lot of the feedback we get is that the magazine goes into the house and 4 or 5 people in the same house will be reading it. And we had one couple, they used to argue over who got to read the magazine first, so they've taken a double subscription so that the husband and the wife can get it, and then it gets passed down to the children.
I bet there's not many magazines that can brag that as the part of the story. On the stand today here, it's a lovely stand you've got there. You've got a separate area where you've got the woodcraft guys demonstrating certain skills. I've just noticed a whole group, a gathering of children together. I'm not too sure if they're doing firelighting skills or whatever, but it's obviously drawing them in. They're just sort of back to simplicity.
I think I've always said that inbuilt in all of us, everybody likes fire, generally speaking. Everybody likes to sort of get down to the basics. We've got axe demonstrations going on, we've got firelighting, wild cooking, water purifying, tracking. So it's quite an active stand. We've got quite a lot going on there, and we're getting people just coming along chatting about different aspects of bushcraft. So,
do you think that the youngsters, perhaps their current activities have become very, very sterile due to the health and safety laws and all the various things, and actually it's stopping them exploring physically and mentally, the world around them?
I think health and safety obviously plays a part. I think also technology. Generally we find a lot of in our society, a lot of the younger people are on computers or games machines, and that's generally what they do. That's their life. We've had quite a few subscribers write in one of the issues we put in the news. A guy was really concerned that he couldn't get his son off I think it's a PS2 or something, games machine, and they saw our magazine in one of the stores that we supply, took a magazine, and his son's been going out doing bushcraft over weekend. He's been practicing some of the skills, but he said he just couldn't get him away from his games machine at all. Nothing would work, no matter what it was, nothing would work.
Oh, great. Well, if you're capturing that sort of market and encouraging those people to develop those skills, it's got to be great long-term benefit for the outdoors generally, as well as for the magazine as well.
Sure. I think, what we're all about, we've just taken a new strapline for living life outdoors, and that's really, it's about getting people. It doesn't matter if you're practicing firelighting, it doesn't matter if you're just interested in the flora and fauna. It's about being out, back to nature, and perhaps if you can enjoy some of the skills along the way, it's great.
You were saying a few moments ago that you've had some of the other, should we say, mainstream niche areas come and have a chat with you and ask about sort of swapping information and so on. I find that quite interesting that you've had sort of walkers and kayakers, as it were, specifically wanting to increase the profile and obviously add to their content for their readers.
Sure. We've just in the last issue of Country Walking, we've produced a bushcraft tip for them. And we do find that there's a huge crossover of interests. As I say, people from all different backgrounds and interest groups. Country walking, it may not be that people want to be living in a debris hut and going and catching a fish and cooking it over a few coals, but it may be that they are walking along and they perhaps want to just take a bit more interest in the wildlife around them. We have a regular wildlife piece. Maybe in the plants around them. It's quite nice if you're on a stroll with some people, you could pick something and say this is such a thing, and you can eat it, and it's
Yeah, I was going to say, is there any particular area that sort of is getting more attention at the moment, just because of the trends, whether it's hedgerow foraging or ice work, axe work, or firelighting, or making your own shelters? Is there any one particular area that really seems to have captured the moment?
I think firelighting's always popular. Everyone seems to like firelighting and having a go, and I think there's a fascination of the fact that you don't need a match, a lighter, or a gallon of petrol. You can use 2 sticks and you can create a fire. I think as well the programs that you see on television obviously have an impact on the masses, and we've had the recent series on wild food with Ray Mears and Gordon Hillman. That's obviously stirred an interest in people getting out. There's various other cooking things, the Wild Gourmets, River Cottage is doing different angles. So I think the wild food side is probably quite potent at the moment.
It's actually, when you mentioned those list of shows, you suddenly realise just how many people are actually putting forward the idea that the food is there and out there and potentially, I say potentially free. I just imagine hordes of people rushing out instead of going to the supermarket saying, right, let's go and get this week's shopping in, the fish and the rabbits and so on.
Sure. Obviously it's a concern, and we're very much involved in protecting and conserving as well. I think the reality is that it's the people that do it have a respect for the areas that they go to. They have a respect. It's like the tribes. We're going back to how people used to live, and they would have a knowledge and a respect that they only harvest so much and they leave some for next time and so on. So
it's all about balance, isn't it? And doing that. Yeah. And I think probably that is something which we as a consumer society, perhaps our society we have at the moment, has possibly lost touch with trying to keep balance, and certainly with the amount of carbon emissions and all the things that are going on from an eco point of view at the moment. Hopefully it'll all mix in together and make us much more balanced outdoors people, really.
Sure. Well, we have a piece in the magazine called Contemporary Living, which is kind of an eco angle, permaculture type angle, and we've covered things in there like food miles, insulation for your house, looking at how birds and animals insulate and things, and just about basically taking bushcraft, if you like, but taking some greener living skills into everyday life. And going back to the food, it perturbs me. You hear on the news often how much we waste, with things like buy one get one free offers, but the free one doesn't get used, so it ends up in the bin. The amount of food waste in the country is horrendous. But obviously, from our point of view, we encourage the respect side, that if you are going out, certain things are protected, so you don't take them. Things that you can take, you don't just go mad because it's there. You take a little bit and leave some for the next person and for the next year and so on. And if you don't take rootstock and things if you don't need to, so that it's there to regenerate.
All in all, then, a good show for you?
Excellent show. Yeah, very busy. Lots of interest, lots of people, lots going on. It's good. Yeah.
And that was Simon Ellar from Bushcraft Magazine. The website is bushcraftmagazine.co.uk, and Simon has very generously donated this week's prize as well, and I'll tell you more about that a bit later on in the competition section. Now, continuing on with the mixed interest theme of today's show, let's now hear from Ed Bassett from EB Adventures, who I met at the kayak show earlier on in the year. Once again, the shared interest and appreciation of simple travel, learning new skills and mixing with like-minded people seems to be shining through.
We offer canoe camping holidays in various locations across the world, from Finland, northern Canada, USA, sub-Saharan Africa, and later this year a new holiday which is in Brazil in the rainforest.
That's a very impressive range of locations.
Yeah, we've been working very hard to make sure that we can offer clients the holidays that they want rather than the holidays that we give them. And all of our holidays are based on the fact that people have asked us to go to those locations.
It's interesting. I've been here at the Canoe Expo now for some time, and certainly a lot of the companies I've spoken to, everybody seems to say the same thing. They cater for the actual customers' needs, as opposed to saying, this is the package, take it or leave it.
I think that's something that's specific to our industry, certainly in the canoeing, kayaking, adventure holiday industry. Our clients generally tend to have a very specific idea of what they want, and then start looking for somebody who can provide it, whereas the standard holiday, people just go and see what's available and pick the one that most suits them, and it's quite the reverse with our client group.
Okay, so can you talk me through a typical holiday then, a typical trip to one of these locations, what people can expect?
Okay, yeah. On the Sami Lakes in southern Finland, our clients fly into Helsinki. We put them up in a hotel in Helsinki for the first night. We travel overland the following day to Antola, where we launch the boats. They have an afternoon getting used to the boats and equipment. We finish then at a small lodge where they have a sauna, nice meal, camp overnight, ready to start the remaining 4 days on the lakes. The actual direction that we take and how far we travel in a day is entirely up to the client group, because there are 14,000 islands. Most of them have got good camping facilities on them, and so we choose on a daily basis where the clients would like to go next, so that they get the holiday that they want. On the last day, we paddle back towards Antola, where we're met by a traditional Finnish barge that's been converted with bunks downstairs and a area for parties upstairs and a sauna. And we have our last night having a bit of a knees up, really.
It sounds wonderful. I mean, what sort of people do you have, taking part in this? Is it young families, old families, sort of groups of guys wanting to get away, or ladies wanting to get away together?
All of the above, really.
Really?
My demographic, as far as clients is concerned, is increasingly broad, from a bunch of young lads who want to go away together in their 20s. They want something exciting, they want to go somewhere really exciting and have a party atmosphere, to people in their 50s whose kids have left home, perhaps at university, and they want to do something before it's too late. And we can provide everything across there. Our trips in northern Finland on a river, the name of which is really impossible to pronounce unless you're Finnish, is a 6 to 8 day paddle with 73 rapids, and that appeals to a certain type of client. The sub-Saharan African trips, where we're likely to have to walk around pods of hippos, where seeing crocodiles is a daily occurrence. Again, that attracts a completely different client group. And the Lakeland holidays in southern Finland are very much about a relaxing time on the river.
Is there? Do you find there's a common ethos, there's a common desire from people who come and experience any of these holidays to be more in tune with the environment, to sort of get back to nature at all?
Yes is the short answer to that. I think it manifests itself in very many different ways, but predominantly what I've found is that people who holiday in canoes or kayaks generally tend to be more aware of the environment and more understanding of the impact that we have on the environment. And that's largely due to the fact that we spend so much of our time outdoors and living with the environment, especially rivers, which are the lifeblood of the world.
These are all wonderfully exotic-sounding locations. The first question I suppose most family people would be asking is it expensive?
It compares quite favourably with a family holiday to any of the kind of slightly more exotic locations. So if your normal holiday is to go to Malaga or Tenerife, then we're expensive. And I think all of the adventure companies would be the same. But if you were holidaying in the Maldives or Antigua or in the French Alps, then we compare favourably, and most of the industry compares favourably with those type of holidays.
Now, you don't necessarily go that far sometimes. I noticed you've got some association there with a bushcraft company.
Yes, we work in association very closely with a company called Forest Knights, who are near Arundel in Sussex. They provide bushcraft training for our clients, and we also sell bushcraft courses that Forest Knights provide for us, and they do an excellent job. Wayne, who owns Forest Knights, is a very, very experienced bushcrafter with real experience of the outdoors, as opposed to having been on a few courses and then started teaching.
And do you find there's a growing interest from customers now to envelop the bushcraft skills into paddling?
I think it's always been there. There's always been, amongst certainly canoe campers, an interest in using the resources that are available when they get out of their boats, the natural resources, because there's a limit to how much you can carry with you in a boat. So it makes sense to use what's available in nature when you get out and when you're camping overnight.
And also, presumably, there's the leave no trace policy as well.
Absolutely, and that's something that we pursue as a policy as much as possible, in so much as a lot of our holidays, if we're going into what most people would term as pristine wilderness, then we will actually spend a day or 2 days prior to the holiday, included in the cost, training our clients on how to have the least amount of impact on the areas that we're going to.
That's fantastic. Well, we have a lot of listeners overseas in America and Canada, and I'm presuming that you'll cater for them as customers just as much as you would do for UK customers.
Well, we have some specific products that sell very well in North America and Canada, and it takes something that they do as part of their normal everyday life, which is canoeing, but puts it in a completely different setting. In North America, they have access to wonderful wilderness areas, but they don't necessarily have access to pubs or the same culture that we have in all of our places. So we offer trips on the Thames where we'd actually paddle from bed and breakfast to bed and breakfast, and we'd stop at places like Hampton Court or Runnymede where the Magna Carta was signed, so that the clients can actually see part of cultural England, as well as doing something that they enjoy doing, which is travelling in a canoe.
Well, I'm sure that's going to be of interest to a lot of people. And just for your final thoughts, if I may, about the Canoe Expo, how have you found the show for the first time this year?
I think it's been a long time coming. Back in the days when there was a canoe show at Crystal Palace, which was an awful long time ago now, it was very, very well attended. Then when it moved to be part of the outdoor show at the NEC in Birmingham, there was a fall in roll. Fewer and fewer people went. But this, just the number of people that we've spoken to this weekend have made this weekend more than worthwhile. The effort of getting here, the effort of putting up the show, the costs, we feel very strongly that we want to come back next year and make it work again next year.
So what's happening soon in the great outdoors? The Podzine Diary.
Well, let's have a look at the diary page on the outdoorstation.co.uk, where you can find a whole wealth of things to be doing over forthcoming months. Of course, it's April the 1st tomorrow. I hope you've got your jokes ready. It's a quarter of the way through the year. Can you believe it? It seems to have gone from dull and miserable to wet and not too bad. But I was staring out of the window at the moment and it's pouring with rain, so let's hope it cheers up very, very rapidly and we get a good April-May, because there's plenty on. Well, I'm going to quickly skip through a few key dates during April-May, just to see if I can tempt you to get out and about, or at least explore a few more outdoor options. We've touched on the Highlander Mountain Marathon, which is going to be at the end of the week. There's various walks up in North Yorkshire and Derbyshire and the Peak District. But there's a couple of key ones I wanted to mention, which I just thought were a bit of fun, really. The Damson Day in Cumbria on the 19th of April near Kendal, and this is the Damson Association promoting a festival synonymous with walks to see the frothy white blossom of the orchards comes to life and celebrate the damson in all its various forms. Damson gin, wines, liqueurs, etc., etc. Very Hugh Fernie Whitting stall. I quite like the idea of that. And then the same weekend in Worcestershire, in Kidderminster, at the Worcestershire County Museum near Kidderminster, they are celebrating Food and Farming Year, from food to your plate, from plough to plate. That can be found at worcestershire.gov.uk museum. The Peak District Walking Festival starting the same weekend, along with a guided walk with the Yorkshire National Dales. Then there is another interesting one which I mentioned last week, which I wanted to give a bit more promotion to, which is Earth Day on the 22nd of April, which is at Deepdale Farm in Norfolk, where Deepdale Backpackers and Camping will be hosting a whole range of eco-friendly organisations for an Earth Day exhibition about the environment, including environmental technology installers, advisors, pressure groups and other related organisations. Shame that's a bit far away, but I'd be very interested to hear from anybody that goes to that. Then one I certainly hope to be going to myself, which is the British Asparagus Festival. Love my asparagus, especially here in the Vale of Evesham, and that's all happening around the same time. That starts the 23rd of April and goes on till June, but I want to get in there early if I can. Then the very popular Outdoors Magic social event seems to be gathering apace, meeting at Bedgellet. And that's the weekend 25th, 27th of April. There is a link directly to the thread on the Outdoors Magic website, but I think you'll find a wealth of welcoming and interesting and enjoyable outdoor company at Bedgellet with the Outdoors Magic folks. Then a bit later on, again, the walking festival is sort of kicking off, really. You've got Holt Whistle Spring Walking Festival on the 26th. Ashford in the Water, Derbyshire, of course, is hosting the Backpackers Club AGM, which is also an open day on the Saturday, if you can get there. There'll be a whole range of trade stands, all specialising probably in fairly lightweight equipment, and that's on the Saturday, the 26th of April. And again, details can be found on our website or backpackersclub.co.uk. Then there's the National Bike Show. I think that's at the NEC, the 28th, 29th, and then we're into May. And I don't think there's anything immediately that comes to mind in May that might get people excited, apart from perhaps the Upton Folk Festival, near to me here on the 2nd of May, which is usually a great social event. And there's a whole variety of windsurfing and bike festivals and kite festivals, as well as walking, more surfing championships, English surfing championships. There's a lot going on in May, so if you like, April is the warm-up to that. So that pretty well wraps up the diary section for this week, and we'll obviously fill in more as time goes by. And if you have any dates or social events you want to let me know about, which I can let other people know, then drop me a line at info@theoutdoorstation.co.uk.
If you've got any news or events you'd like us to cover on the Podzine, then contact us at The Outdoor Station. The address is info@theoutdoorstation.co.uk.
Bringing you more about the outdoors world. Call our voicemail service now. 020 8133 9434.
And continuing on with the theme of this Podzine, another specialist who offers knowledge and courses right back to the absolute basics for bushcraft and the outdoor community is Wayne Jones of Forest Nights. Now, his website and company focuses on developing a deeper understanding and appreciation of the outdoor environment, explaining wilderness, wildlife and warrior arts. And I met him at the recent kayak show.
With more and more exposure on the television and the media, we get a lot more inquiries now for much more primitive skills. People are moving away from the luxurious style of camping with hookups and electrical TV. They want primitive skills, learning about wild foods, more about nature awareness. So they want to know about the birds, trees, types of plant, what's safe to eat, fungi, so that they can then go back, take those skills home and practice them on a daily basis and integrate that into a part of their daily living skills, rather than just a holiday that's one experience, put it on the shelf and forget to move to the next. So it's more of an integration into their everyday living.
So it's like an educational process, as opposed to, say, buying a package and then you've done that package and then you move on to the next package.
Yeah, people are moving away from the consumerist. Yeah, I've bought this package, I've had a great weekend, it's been a really good course, and that's it, done it now, tick in the box. People are wanting to learn skills that they can then take away and practice and evolve. And then I get phone calls from people, I did this on a course, now can I come and do something and build on that? So they start on a basic course and they go through the whole development process, coming back year after year, doing slightly different, more advanced skills, more primitive skills. You know, we do like a bow making course, and then they come back and they learn how to make arrow making, and then maybe into gluing technology. So it's a whole evolving process, and we get lots of young people, schools groups coming in wanting to do courses and training as a part of just a general education process. So we go in, and if a school's doing something on Yeah,
I was going to ask about the schools, because presumably children these days are quite shocked to hear how us old types used to spend our childhood when we were their age.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of media coverage about how unsafe the great outdoors can be, that there are predatory people out there, which there are. I mean, we have to be careful. But giving somebody a sense of freedom to go wandering in the woodland, to get dirty, to get mucky, to try to make stinging nettle cordage, and it's okay to make mistakes. It's okay to try and to learn to use a knife. We go into schools and we give young tearaways, for want of a better word, a knife to use, and they're just so shocked. It's like, it's sharp. Yeah, it's supposed to be sharp. A knife is dangerous if it's not sharp. So they then learn skills with appropriate use. You're taking away that macho element of it being a weapon to being just an everyday tool, like their fork, like a pen. But they are learning skills that they can take away into their adult life. It gives them self-confidence. Not everyone is going to be academic, but a lot of these youngsters find that just sitting quietly in a field, listening to the birds, identifying a few key species, is something that they can then take away and slow down. Bushcraft's about teaching patience. If we wanted easy, we'd take a lighter, a nice 10, but they want to slow down, learn skills, but then develop them as people.
Have you found that youngsters that you wouldn't have anticipated taking to it have taken to it and had their eyes opened and really got absorbed in the whole subject matter? Yes,
we've worked a lot with people with challenging behaviours, and they've come with a set idea of what we're about, and you start off very sort of reluctant to get involved. They sit back from the group, quite crossed arms, quite aggressive, and just slowly building up the trust. And then they start thinking, well, actually, this is fun. Some of these kids haven't even seen a night sky. Have no idea what the stars are because they live in such light pollution. They come out, we take them into the field in the evening, point out a few stars, talk about navigation skills and what we did in prehistory. And suddenly, it's a whole new world. They're seeing shapes, colours, textures. And we show them a few simple tracks, fox tracks, deer tracks, show them that. And suddenly, the environment's no longer a scary place. It's becoming familiar. They're learning about the plants that are good to eat, things like hawthorn. And then from that, it's becoming not an alien environment, but something that's actually cool and trendy and exciting, and they get a sense of adventure and responsibility, and they really do thrive.
I know on the range of courses that you do, and again, like everybody else that seems to be at the show today, and also within the sort of kayaking and bushcraft community, you're very flexible about the courses that you offer to suit the customer's needs. You were also talking about first aid courses which are suitable for people that were doing perhaps gap years or travelling to places where they might not be able to get first aid assistance fairly rapidly, so they have to look after themselves, which is a bit more of a step above the sort of normal corporate first aid.
Yes, what I found was I'd done a lot of first aid courses as an outdoor professional, but they didn't quite give me what I was really looking for, that sense of confidence that I could deal with a situation that might arise when you make that phone call and it's not, sorry, we can't get there for an hour, the weather's conditions are poor, there's traffic, best one in the world, there's limited resources. If you're in the Himalayas, for example, and you've dislocated a shoulder, you may have to travel over a high pass because a helicopter can't travel that high to reach you out. You need to be mobile. It's very simple techniques on how you can support somebody in that situation. Mainly we're dealing with the casualty and the pain, things like that. But that's something that you can't do in the UK. I wouldn't recommend anybody try to relocate a shoulder because we've got easy access to medical facilities, people who've trained for many years. But on a wilderness situation, there are things we have different duty of care, so therefore we need to be able to offer help to those that we're with, or we may be the person that needs assistance. And the great news is if you've done a lot of first aid training, you're less likely to have an accident statistically because you're more aware of the risk and you take more precautions. So it gives you a sense of self-confidence as well, just to have that little extra layer of skill in your toolbox. We're not teaching people to take out pen knives and whittle people, but we are teaching good positive skills that they can then take away, treat their families, and maybe in a difficult situation they have those skills that they can use.
So they've got something to draw upon.
Always more and more skills. In the UK, it's level 1 skills we're teaching, and then if you're going abroad, somewhere that's a bit more tricky, there's that extra few techniques that they can rely upon.
Right, well, people can get more details, obviously, from forestnights.co.uk. I notice you also do sort of shall we say, the standard bushcraft courses that people are showing a lot of interest in these days, thanks to Ray Mears and various other programmes where people are wanting to sort of touch base with their environment more. Has there been a slight change in the type of people that are coming and visiting you?
Yes, we initially found that we were getting a lot of young adults, young males, and now we're getting a lot more family groups, and we're getting a lot more women-only courses. I run a lot of travel skills courses for the Girls Travel Club, because there's a lot of young ladies, older women, that want to do courses but feel a little bit threatened by that there might be the competitive male macho element. So we're running specific courses for women's groups, and they're proving increasingly popular. So we're getting a lot of I wasn't expecting to have so many women clients, but we're actually getting it's over 50% now of some of our courses are just on women only. It's just amazing.
Well, do you have a thought of why that might be?
I just think that they're more flexible, more willing to try and experiment, and they actually do a lot better on the courses because they're not so physical, so they have to think about what they're doing, and they take the time and the effort to plan each activity properly, and they don't use brute force and ignorance, so we actually get better results from the women on fire by friction, for example, because they make the set perfectly first time, and it's much more calorie efficient to do something once and do it right than think, well, yeah, that's about right, and we give it a good go, and then discover, well, I've got to do it again and again and again. But the ladies generally, they know that they've got a finite amount of strength and endurance, so they take the time to do it properly first time, and they're normally far more successful, to be honest.
The Podzine.
Well, it's official. There you have it. Women are better at outdoor skills than men. They pay attention and they do the job properly, not like us brute force and ignorant chaps. Yeah, okay, let's move on to the competition section. Last week we had the competition with a prize donated by gibbonslacklines.com and to win a 50-metre slackline, thanks to them. And this, as I said last week, will probably be something you see cropping up everywhere where there's cool and trendy people. And the chance was to be a cool and trendy person and win a prize. And the question was, who is the MD of Gibbon Slacklines? Who's the MD of Gibbon Slacklines? And the answer was, of course, found on the website, the MD being Stefan Lippard. Now I'm just going to press the button on the old computer here, competition computer, and find out who exactly is being pulled out of the hat. Okay, yes, and we have a winner. The winner is Jackie O'Neill from Shepperton. Jackie, congratulations, you have won a 50-metre slackline. So, well, invite all your friends round and tie it to 2 posts and have fun. I'm sure you'll have great fun with that. Send us some pictures and let us know how you get on. That'd be great. Now, this week's competition is courtesy of Bushcraft Magazine, and they have very, very kindly donated a year's subscription to Bushcraft Magazine and a bag full of bushcraft goodies to get you started in the world of bushcraft. So what's the question? Well, let's keep it simple, shall we? What I want to know is, who is the Bushcraft Magazine's wildlife specialist writer? What is the name of the wildlife specialist writer for Bushcraft Magazine? And surprisingly enough, the answer can be found on their website, which is Bushcraft Magazine. He says, hunting through his bits of paper. That's it, bushcraftmagazine.co.uk. I wasn't sure if there was a hyphen in there. So that's bushcraftmagazine.co.uk. You can find the answer to the question, which is, who is their wildlife specialist writer? And you can send your answer with your details, please, an address, so I can send the competition prize straight out to you, to Bushcraft Magazine competition at theoutdoorstation.co.uk. That's Bushcraft Magazine competition at theoutdoorstation.co.uk. And if you lose any of these details, they will of course be on our website and linked to the show notes. So, thanks again for joining me for another show. I hope you've enjoyed it. I hopefully will have a story for you of what happened to me at the weekend with Nomad Bushcraft, and we will share the love and share the enjoyment of the great outdoors. So have a good week. I hope the weather picks up for you, and more coming from us very, very soon. Bye for now.
This independent programme has been brought to you by theoutdoorstation.co.uk.